Today's episode, we are going to be sharing some of the hottest AI tools out there for the classroom. It's Christmas time, and we want to give you some gifts of some AI tools that we're enjoying. There's so many of them, though.
We'll be highlighting 7 key scenarios that you might want to entertain using AI for. In fact, we're not just covering the scenarios, but the actual tools we'd recommend. And of course, since it's brand new to the market, we're going to be covering ChatGPT for teachers and some of the benefits that it brings and use cases that might work for you. Welcome to the EdTech Unpacked podcast, where we inspire and equip educators to create meaningful learning experiences, highlighting the thoughtful integration of technology as we teach and transform the lives of our students. I'm Aaron Long.
And I'm Desmond Suarez, and we are passionate about helping educators learn how to better use technology to engage their students. And today, Aaron, I'm at home because we have a snow day and it's Christmas, so I thought it would be fun. This is my remote classroom. I taught from home today. I'm in my classroom. It's just from home.
Dude, are you trying to make us all jealous here? I mean, you got the tree in the background. You got your hat on. I'm a little bit jealous, if I'm being honest.
But at the same time, man, technology kind of bums me out sometimes because I could have had a snow day and instead I had a teaching from home day.
Dude, that's super valid. We've wrestled with that here. I don't know about you guys, but It's like, let's call it a snow day sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, that can go either way. But hey, we actually have, speaking of the tree and the holidays, a question for our Get to Know You question that's related today. So I'm going to throw this to you first, Desmond. What is your favorite school Christmas tradition?
All right, I've got a tradition, and then I got a little story that's kind of funny. But my favorite Christmas tradition is probably, and we do this at the end of each semester. It started probably 30 years ago, 20 years ago, long before me. I can't even figure out when it started. But I make pancakes for the students on the last day of the semester. Make a bunch of pancakes and and they love it, and they always ask for it. And that's one of my favorite traditions. I get there early and I make pancakes. It was passed down to me, and I continue the tradition. Thank you, Robert Fetters, for training me in that and passing it on. And then I just had to throw in, it's kind of a tradition in that we always do a Christmas party. I don't know if bigger schools do this, but the last day of the semester, exams are done, we do a Christmas party, and we often will have like some kind of, activities and fun things and challenges. So I remember one year I thought I had a brilliant idea. I will say I took the brunt of this in a lot of ways, but it was my idea that we would give the students some basic ingredients to make cookies. They could bring other ingredients, and then we would judge them on who made the best cookies. And I thought it was smart. Each class, each group, they get to make cookies, and us teachers get to judge them and eat delicious cookies. Until the seniors figured out that, hey, the teachers have committed to eating our cookies. So if we sabotage,
I feel like I know where this is going.
Sabotage the cookies, they're gonna have to eat our cookies, and we didn't eat much of them because they put eggshells and tons of egg in there and just sabotaged them to bits.
What about toothpaste? Did anyone put toothpaste?
I don't think there was toothpaste, but that
brings back a great memory I have of a student feeding me homemade cookies with toothpaste. I was like,
I've had the Oreo with toothpaste that they've done for me. Yeah,
for sure. Dude, this is crazy how similar it is. Desmond and I never talk about like what we're going to share with these. We're just like, here's going to be the question, have an answer, right? So for me, it's almost exactly the same thing with the Christmas breakfast. So as the former junior high vice principal here at Burton Academy, longstanding tradition, predates me. Okay, so I started enjoying this 13 years ago. But it goes back way before that. I don't know how far, and it's your Christmas day or last day of school Christmas breakfast for junior high. Used to be IHOP. All right, we'd take all the kids, load them up, and take 70 junior high kids to IHOP. That's quite the scene.
I can imagine. I wonder if IHOP likes it or not.
Well, we don't go anymore. Sure. I'll say that. But it wasn't necessarily because our kids were misbehaving. That you know how it is, though.
It's a lot of logistics.
There's only so much sitting around.
Yes.
The salt and pepper shakers become a little too tempting at some point, and then you start getting your mixed drinks and all that. So we were like, you know what? Let's go ahead. It was getting harder and harder to book with IHOP, and so we just decided to host it at the school. It's been a great iteration. They now do table decorating contests with they can decorate with trees and whatnot. Similar to you guys, we do the pancake and eggs and hot drinks, and it's just a great time. Play Christmas games in the gym. So truly a great time. Everybody on campus, all the teachers want to sneak in and get their plate of Christmas food from the junior high crew. But great tradition. The kids love it, and the teachers, it's a great way to kind of head into break. So
That's fun. We hope that you have great Christmas traditions too, and we'd love it if you shared them in the comments so we can celebrate and learn about your Christmas traditions. So please pass them on. Tell us
and give us ideas, right?
yes,
For our schools,
for
right?
sure.
Share. All right. So that's a little bit about what's happening around our schools for Christmas. Desmond, anything before we unpack the tech here that we want to chat through?
Yeah, we're going to be talking about several different AI tools today, and man, the conversation I really started to hear it. I feel like at ISTE this summer, but I feel like the noise overall in and out of the classroom is AI too much? Do we need this stuff? Do we need it in our lives, and do we need it in the classroom? Is it too much? What do you think, Aaron?
Certainly can be. It's like any new technology when it's, when it's enamoring or amazing at what it can do. I think we're all anxious to integrate it, and so then we rush to integrate things that maybe are not ready to be integrated or not integrated in the way we can see them eventually becoming, useful in the classroom. So I think we're still in that rush phase of we're all trying to, not all, but those that are really into technology are trying to figure out, man, how can this shortcut stuff for me as a teacher save me time and prep and planning and all the rest? Expedite not just writing, but content creation. That's something we'll be diving into today. So there's a lot of usefulness that's already possible. But then there's also that leading edge where we're trying to get, AI to do things maybe it's not ready to do in a safe and secure way, in a way that, we can control the process and still be competent or claim to be competent teachers. So I definitely think that we make it too much because it's an exciting tool. But I also know teachers that are like, hey, I don't want anything to do with it yet. Minimal, maybe as a prep tool for me. And there's a real cautiousness. So the marketplace, yes, huge rush. Everybody wants to integrate it, or at least say they are on the back end. I mean, everybody, AI driven, AI engine, whatever. And it's not an AI company, but they're promoting that they're AI driven. So it feels like a lot, I guess, is where I'd summarize it.
It does, and it feels like these companies have overpromised and under delivered in a lot of ways. I don't know if you heard, like when Apple released the Apple Intelligence or just announced it, but it was never a real product. In fact, I've heard stories, I don't know how true these are, but stories that Apple developers didn't know about the feature set until the keynote when everyone else learned about the feature set. And that is not to single Apple out, because I think every AI company just about has done the same thing. Microsoft right now is running ads about, with these people chatting with their computers, asking, what microphone is that? Where can I buy it? And The Verge has a tech website has, sorry, my cat's climbing all over me. That's one of the good things and bad things about being at home. The Verge did they took all those same prompts and they tried to recreate them and couldn't get a single one to work, even a little. Like, it was just embarrassingly bad. And so all these companies are, and it's like all of them are over promising and under delivering. And so we're kind of getting burned out. There's a lot of slop out there, a lot of junk.
A lot of slop. That's a good way to put it.
A lot of slop. Yeah. And we're tired of the slop. So I don't know.
We're tired of the slop, and we're ready to share some solutions with the teachers.
We are.
Aren't we? Right? That feels appropriate.
We're telling
Let's
you,
get to it.
Stop looking at this slop, and we're going to tell you to make it. No, but I do think that I hope the conclusion is that there are good ways and bad ways to use AI. And you don't have to use it just for the sake of using it. Don't generate slop for your classroom, but but there are, I think, these tools, if used intelligently by human teachers, professional teachers, can help you and enhance your teaching and maybe save you some time.
So, hey, on that note, Desmond, let's
Let's
unpack
unpack the
the
tech.
tech. All right, so we're going to kick it off with ChatGPT for Teachers that just launched as of the time of this recording just a couple weeks ago. And we're excited about it. I am, because I've had a chance to sign up. We'll put a link to the sign up page. And there's a little bit of process to it. I will mention I had to get a letter from my administrator just verifying I'm an active teacher, and I provided a picture of my ID. Desmond had a little bit different of an experience there where his letter didn't cut it, right,
Yeah,
Desmond?
yeah, and I don't
So
have my teacher ID doesn't have a date on it, so that didn't work for me.
that's fair.
So I ended up having to submit a redacted version of my contract, and that worked.
Redacted version. I
Redacted.
like it.
I'm not going to give them all that
Limiting
stuff.
it. I like
Yeah,
it. I
yeah.
appreciate that. But the neat thing here is just right off the top, they're offering this. It's basically ChatGPT Pro for teachers free until the summer of 2027. So that's a year and a half from now of free usage, but it goes beyond that. We're going to take a look at how it does that. So I'm logged in here to the interface, and I first of all want to show you some of the settings because I think this is really what makes it so neat in terms of the potential. Now, I'll fully disclose, I haven't had a chance to fully play with some of these collaboration tools, but one of the neat things is here you can create groups. So this is domain driven. So teachers within your domain that sign up, you can see and connect with them through ChatGPT. So this brings about a collaborative work experience opportunity. And so you can create groups, which you then add members to. I'm not going to pull up the member list because you'll see teachers at our school here in their emails, and we're not wanting to disclose that here. But I just want you to know that just in early testing here, it's pretty neat in how you can go about adding teachers to groups and collaborating. Another neat feature here, which this is actually not unique to ChatGPT Teacher Edition, but you can go through and connect different apps to ChatGPT. And I'm going to show you in a minute why this is so powerful, especially in a collaborative environment. So I've gone into apps and connectors here. If you have the Pro version, you can do the same. But again, this is underneath of a domain structure so that this is collaborative. And so I can go through and pick out the different resources I use.
That's a lot of different
Desmond,
resources.
it is. I mean, Khan Academy, that's pretty neat. Jam, yep, is in there. So I thought you would appreciate that one. Canva, of course. And ironically, I haven't, I did connect the app on the side, but we haven't done that as an organization yet. But I did, you'll see here at the top.
So I'm curious what
Sorry,
you
go
can do
ahead.
with something like Coursera if you can query the courses they have on there. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm curious.
Well, listen, I think
Yeah.
that's actually what's possible, and I'll show you why I think that in a moment. But I've plugged in Google Calendar and Google Drive because for me, I'm super heavy into those particular platforms, and we are as a school. So I thought, hey, what's possible with those particular platforms? So I kind of created a little just test for ChatGPT to see how well it can go out and search my Google Drive. So here's a chat string from earlier today where I said, so we have a fun run event we do every fall, raises a bunch of money. And I said, how much money did we raise on the fun run this year? I gave it no context. I didn't say search Google Drive. I just asked it a question. And it immediately intuitively knew to search Google Drive. So it went and searched. Ironically, it didn't find this year's numbers. It found last year's numbers. But what I liked is it linked directly to the spreadsheet in Google Drive where it found it. So it referenced it. And then I had to say, those are numbers from 2024. Please report the fundraising amounts from 2025. And then it accurately went through and pulled the numbers and referenced the spreadsheet. So, saying this year wasn't quite enough, but to me to say, man, I was telling Desmond earlier, I sometimes have trouble just being organized in Google Drive because it's unfortunately, when I started using it was not intuitive to organize it and create folder structures. It's gotten better and I'm trying to do better, but I'm a mess. Okay. If you saw my Google Drive. So having this live search feature of my hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of Google Drive documents from the last 13 years, that it can find information on the fly seemingly rather reliably, I'm pretty interested. And then I said, all right, let's devise another challenge here. And I gave it another scenario related to the fun run. I said, all right, let's imagine we're planning using the calendar here. And I gave it some basic framework. I'll show you what I said. Help me find a good date in the fall. And I said late September through early December of 2025 for for our fun run event so that it isn't too close to the BTXC spelling bee. We usually have it on a Wednesday. And this was real world because we're in the middle of trying to find a new date for this event. We've realized our fall's too congested. This year we had big event after big event, totally wore us out. So we're wanting to create some separation. So this was awesome. Check it out. I didn't give it a date context, right? I just said, here's the event. Make sure it's not too close to this other event, and gave it a few parameters. It returned a spreadsheet. Here's an option, Wednesday, September 24. By the way, that's the top day I was going to pick. It's in order anyway. So it says early fall, well before spelling bee season starts, ramping up, good spacing. Wednesday, October 8, about a month before spelling bee. Wednesday, October 22, about 2 weeks before the November 5B. It went to my calendar, looked for it, found it, and then created this recommendation list based on where it is actually scheduled. And I picked that date because our fall calendar is not built out yet. It's one of the few dates that we've already put on our Google Calendar for next year because this is a conference event. Anyway, I was super impressed at how it so quickly went out and searched Drive and Calendar in both use cases. So for planning, oh my goodness, to me, I'm like, wow, because now imagine these are collaborative, right? So I've created a sample project here just called brainstorms. All right. You could have called this anything. You could have said calendar session. And then you can take and add, I don't know why I'm zoomed kind of funny here, but you can take and you can go to your project settings and that's not where you do it. I knew I was going to miss something here. It's share. Share. And then if I put my cursor in this field box here, I can add domain members. So any of the teachers at my school, I can add them in there, or I can keep it open to anybody. So it's basically creating a collaborative workspace that's topically driven, and you're inviting people into it. And literally, I'm thinking, man, this could really help with our calendar sessions because it's messy. And so I'm really excited to use this. Now, go back, watch the episode we did in ChatGPT versus Gemini in terms of lesson planning. We've already been through how to do that piece in terms of prep. But to me, you take that experience into this environment where you're also collaborating with other teachers and sharing those kinds of interactions. And hey, go take a look at this project. I just shared it with you and how I created this lesson plan. And they can look through and see what a great way to not just collaborate, but actually transfer knowledge to the teachers who are maybe lagging a bit or needing more help. So I'm super excited to use ChatGPT for teachers in the real world.
I was really kind of curious how they would do collaboration, and that is clever. You can get in there, and calendaring is a great example, and budgeting, and so if you're working on whether it's a fundraiser or asking for money for something, it's a great way to do that. All right, I'm going to show Gemini's visualization. So one of the classes I teach is geography. I teach history, and in geography class especially, one of the main things I'm teaching them is how to analyze data and how to look at charts and maps. And, there's all sorts of great data sets around there. And sometimes I'm looking for a visualization and I can't find it. And so I created a few examples here that I thought were helpful. One's more fun and one's more helpful. And so here is the first thing I did and I just asked it, create a visualization. And that's how you start it. So it's creating visualizations. It's not a regular image generator. It's a visualization comparing the 5 most popular foods in the world. And I was curious how it would define popular. And it was kind of funny how it defined popular. So I could have been more specific, but sometimes I just want to know, like, well, what do people define as popular? And so it found the five most popular foods on Instagram. Now, these are probably not the most commonly eaten foods, and we'll get there, but pizza, hamburger, sushi, steak, and macaroons are the top five most popular foods on Instagram. And it's good because it comes down and gives me more context, and it helps me analyze the data. And does this one? I don't know if, oh yeah, so it doesn't tell me where it got its data from, but it does tell me, like, I don't know if it got it straight from Instagram or from some other source. But then I thought it was interesting, and it kind of read my mind. Said, no, if popularity were measured by pure consumption, staple foods, the list would likely be dominated by rice, corn, and wheat. But for more specific dishes, people celebrate and share these five consistently rank at the top. And so I would actually probably use a tool like this more live in class. If I'm going to prepare it, I'm probably going to, I could use this to prepare something, but I love this like kind of collaborative discovery that I get to do with my students, where we ask these questions together and we analyze, is this a good question or not? And so then I asked it, well, first it wasn't displaying the image, so it regenerated it. I don't know why it wasn't displaying it. So it just generated it in a different form, but same data. And then I asked it, make a chart, but for the most consumed food instead. So same kind of chart, and you'll see the numbers. It's very different food groups. It is what they had suggested it probably would be: rice, wheat, potatoes, maize or corn, and cassava. And I think here it says, no, it doesn't cite the source here either. I would probably want to cite the sources. If I was doing it in class, I'd say, where does this information come from? But then I thought it'd be interesting to compare. I really love comparative data. You have this very popular food that everyone likes to brag about eating, and then you have the highly consumed food. And I think so. I asked it to make a chart comparing, a chart that compares the consumption of most popular food and most consumed food. Now, I'm actually studying data visualization with my AP computer class right now as part of the AP Computer Science Principles. And this chart would be a great example. In fact, I use this tool with them to talk about good and bad data visualization. And so this would be a poor data visualization because the charts look visually the same, but their numbers are different. All right. And also, this is using popularity, this is consumption, and it actually says that down here. So what I asked it was, instead, are you able to show me, are you able to source how much the most popular foods are consumed? So now it got the estimate global consumption by weight. And then I asked it to compare these two. And this is the chart that I thought was interesting. Oh, it's like kind of low resolution. So yeah, I think I downloaded it somewhere. Yeah. So the consuming staple foods versus popular diets. So you'll see the 17 pasta and burgers. Actually, it changed. No, that's consumption. So these are like popular foods, and you see their consumption is way lower, although pasta is pretty high, and I don't think it was on the previous one. But then all these staple foods are way higher consumed. And that visualization is great. Now, in the class, I would ask it, now tell me the sources. How do I know these?
Desmond, I feel like you're actually like a math teacher at heart, just hearing you talk about data visualizations and stuff. So welcome to the team. Okay. We're happy to have you. But that's actually an awesome visualization because, in the first context of where you're sharing how much these popular foods are consumed. It seems like a lot until you put it next to staples.
Yes.
And it's like, wow.
And then it leads into great conversations with the students of like,
you're lucky to have that hamburger. You take it for granted, right? But look what everybody out there's actually eating, not hamburgers.
Yeah. And why are these foods consumed more? And actually the good news of it is that the foods that are consumed more are probably better for you. And so it's actually kind of a positive chart, but it does tell us about some of the discrepancies in the world. Yeah. So then I asked it the make a chart comparing the country's relative per capita GDP. So how much that's a shortcut for how much money a country has per person. Not exactly, but it's close. And then I also compared the happiness index, which is a real index that is measured by, I think, the UN. And so, anyways, it went and it actually told me where I got these. And so it does tell me what kind of chart this is. It's a plot. Is it a plot? Does it tell me what kind of chart it is?
Yeah. A dot chart or plot. Yeah, sure. I mean, I think
there's a term for it, and I forgot what it says. So it tells me my sources down here. Anyways, I kept refining it because I wanted to compare the happiest countries to the wealthiest countries per person and see how they compared. And this is a great discussion because it's a lot of the happiest countries actually do have a good amount of money per person. So you see the happiness score, which is out of 10, 10 being higher. And then it gets high. The wealth gets higher on this side. You see the US actually scores low on both of them. On happiness and on per capita GDP is not very high because we're a large country. Singapore is very low on happiness, apparently, but very wealthy per capita. And Finland keeps making the headlines as the happiest country. And although their per capita GDP is not very high, it is still very high globally. But yeah.
It would be interesting to see how that one changed over time, but that's another episode.
That is another episode. So this would be, I guess, like the average in the middle. Is that right?
I'm going to assume that. I mean, it looks like it.
I did not do very well in my statistics class.
I've never taught statistics, so you can tell. It's all good. Very cool. I love it. You think about like these types of platforms. They used to be exclusively like, you could find them on charts and things like that out there on the web, but a lot of subscription-based sites that create those data visualizations, and now it's like real-time generation, modifiable based on what you want it to be. Wow. And that your correlation, I love what you're doing there.
Correlations are very valuable, and you can make these in Excel, or the last one's harder to make, but you can make a bar chart in Excel or in Google Sheets or something like pretty easily. But to be able to pull the data and then do it real quick, I think it's cool.
No, it's awesome. All right, I'm gonna hit one here real quick. We're gonna jump over to what's the use case first of all, though. This would be just image generation. Okay, so I loved Canva, as you guys know, but I'm also I really like ChatGPT just from the interface side. And so I thought, hey, let's do a little competition here and just see what's the experience, because ChatGPT now has the integration for Canva. So let's take a look at that really quick here. I've already integrated it. You can see it on the side. I just click that and it'll take me to the Canva interactive. Or you can go straight to Canva. So I thought, hey, what's the difference? What's the experience going to be like? So I actually gave it a hard task. This is something I've found AI is not good at yet, and that is creating graphs, creating visualizations of graphs. So I went through a chat here and I just said, generate a graphical PDF with instructions and visualizations for how to graph equations in slope-intercept form. Just wanted it to demonstrate that visually, okay? And here's what it came up with. A really nice instructional, no visualization whatsoever. Okay. In fact, I attempted multiple times and it never, even to the third attempt, it never generated a coordinate plane. I was very disappointed, but also not surprised. It's not something that AI is good at yet. Now, there's math specific tools that are much better, but I was looking for something like, hey, let's make a PDF we can drop to the kids. Okay. That was the use case I was looking for. By the way, I should have started with this. Canva AI now has a button on the side, which I really appreciate, because otherwise you have to go from the home screen and use the Canva AI here, which is how you used to have to get there, and then you can decide what you want to do. That's how we've generated a lot of our demo videos in the past. Now you can even pin it on the side so it never leaves if I click that little pin. So pretty neat. And then I said, all right, well, let's give the same experience or same instructional to ChatGPT's Canva plugin. And so let's see here. I'm going to make sure I find the right one. I think it's this one. And let's see. Well, that is actually not it. And what's interesting here now is when I went to Canva and created this chat, it did not save my chat on the side, apparently.
I was telling you earlier, I think that I've run into the same problem with Gemini. I'll show a visualization actually probably right after you do, that I created and I used and I printed out in my classroom, and I went back to modify it and it was gone. Could not find it anywhere.
Well, that's really interesting. We're going to do this one live then. Okay. I'm sure no one's going to complain about that. It's, these are not always the fastest. It just depends, but I want to show you what I like about using Canva's plugin with ChatGPT. Every time I've tried it, we'll see if this is an exception. It'll always prompt me for more input. Okay. So this is what I like. A lot of times our AI prompting is not great. Okay. And so before it goes and spends these credits, I know it's trying to save these credits or whatever they're
It also
called.
saves you time, but yes,
But it saves you time.
It is what it's, yeah. It's a
And
win-win.
that's what I like. You've already seen what I like most about it. Okay. But so it says, is this for a classroom handout, student study guide? And I found very short answers are fine. Obviously, I'll say study guide. And should the design feel more educational and clean or colorful and engaging? I'll say clean. I don't need a lot of peripheral in there. Do you want it to include example equations? Please include an example equation. As Desmond knows, I injured my finger at Thanksgiving, and I'm a struggling typer over here, so I apologize. Previous episode, Desmond, who won between us when we did our speed testing there?
Typing?
I think I took, with our typing.
Well, maybe
test,
we need to retest now. No,
Okay,
you demolished me, and I feel
just-
confident you would beat me again.
So it's funny, you have to confirm these little text-based prompts, and then it sends it to Canva. And so Canva's doing the work right now, and it's going to spit it back over here in just a second with, typically it'll give you 4, like, hey, which one do you like best? So I'm just going to tell you what it did earlier this afternoon when I was testing this. One of the 4 actually included coordinate plane graphing and in Canva. So when you click on these, here in a minute, you'll see, I'll go ahead and click through. You get a chance to pick the one you like best and click through over to Canva. And once you do that, you can then edit from there in Canva. So it kind of gives you like a starter, place with the document. This one here.
I like that it's editable. That's helpful.
Yes. And that's what's unique as well. A lot of the times I've generated content in Canva. It doesn't take you to an editable version of the graphic. Yeah, that's very interesting.
The ChatGPT to Canva way works better.
Yeah, so it's just different, okay, is what I'd say. Now, none of these nailed it. None of these included a coordinate plane. This was a rather poor result, in my opinion.
You can see why we're switching to pre-generating a lot of these things for several reasons. Oh, there's some coordinate planes, right?
Yeah, so this is interesting.
Yeah, because they don't always generate. They always generate kind of differently. Sometimes things work really surprisingly well, and sometimes they are that. I don't know what that is.
This is pretend math over here, okay? That was pretend math.
All of that is pretend math. AI likes pretend math.
So,
and also they can take a while to generate. Yes. Yeah. So Aaron got one to work, it sounds like.
I did, but I'm going to summarize it just by saying that it definitely helps to use, in my opinion, the text-based prompting for Canva if you're doing something complex and highly specific. If you just want a fun image generation, hey, just have at it in Canva or your preferred platform. Not going to go deeper than that other than to say I do find some value in the Canva plugin in ChatGPT versus going straight. So hope that helped somewhat. All right, what do you have for us?
Well, real quick, I'm going to show Notebook LM in just a minute, which seems like Notebook LM ends up on every episode we do like this, which shows how great it is. But I wanted to hold on. Let me organize my stuff before you share my screen, Katrina. Sorry, it moved some things around. All right, so talk about like Christmas traditions earlier. One of my Christmas traditions is to be the Grinch before Thanksgiving, because I'm of the place, and I hope you all agree with me, that we're not going to celebrate Christmas until after Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving's great, and I don't want to like miss Thanksgiving. I love Christmas too, but I want Thanksgiving first. So I made a visualization, and I didn't give it much prompt. I think all I said, this is in Gemini, I think all I said was make a poster. I might have said for my classroom that says it's not Christmas yet. And so it came up with all the ideas of visualization. I did like give it a little more prompt about like the date, and maybe I think I had it remove something I didn't like. But it had a like this weird squirrel elf thing. Actually, I'm not really sure what that is. It has all this stuff. The angry, I like the angry. And sorry for audio listeners, but there's an angry turkey with Christmas lights all over him, and it came up with the phrase at the bottom: "Seriously, put down the tinsel. We have pie to eat," which I thought was great. And I hung that on my door, and students from all over the school thought it was funny and thought I was weird, which was my goal. And then following Christmas, and this is the prompt I couldn't find. Like I printed it out, I put it on my door. I couldn't find it later in Gemini. And so anyways, I uploaded this back up to Gemini, and I said, all right, now make a version that says it's Christmas now. And so this is what's hanging on my door right now. Same characters. It's Christmas now, and now the turkey's happy and wearing a Santa outfit. And serious, it says at the bottom, seriously, ho ho ho, let's open presents. And so it took the same idea and it revisualized it, and I thought it was fun. I've also been making like funny Christmas pictures and stuff to hang around my classroom and put on my screen. And that's been fun. But what I want to show you is actually Notebook LM. Let's see. So I have a lot of things open. Notebook LM. And the reason we keep including it is because it keeps getting better. They keep adding things. I like the first version, and it keeps getting better. So Notebook LM is a product from Google. If your administrator turns it on in your Google platform, it can be available. I don't think I think you have to be 18 or older, so it's not really available to students yet, but to teachers it is. And it is something that sometimes I wish I could share with my students. But in this case, I just uploaded a single PDF of my textbook from Teach TCI, call out, I like them, allows me to download a PDF of the lesson. So I take that, I hope they're okay with it, but I upload it to Notebook LM, and then I can query it directly. I've used it to write questions, but some of the tools now that Notebook LM, this list over here keeps getting bigger and more advanced. And so you could do things like create a quiz, and it'll give you multiple choice, and you click on it and it'll say not quite, and it'll give you an explanation and tell you which one was right.
Hey, so real quick, Desmond,
Yeah.
I just was looking this up here. It's actually now available for ages 13 plus.
Oh, that just changed.
Yeah,
cool.
It changed apparently a few months ago, but it's now available for 13 plus. Yeah.
Cool. I guess I haven't checked this summer. So, and I like how it'll, so I'm getting them wrong because I'm not reading them. I taught this lesson. I know this lesson.
By the way, Desmond's highlighting probably one of my favorite tools today that we're highlighting. Notebook LM to me is blowing me away.
It's great.
So I'm excited to see what you're doing here.
It's great. And this is the part that I wish I could share with my students, but there's not really a good share tool for that. So it would be something you do like in class with them, or take the questions and see, adjust them. And then let's see.
And by the way, Notebook LM now integrates directly with Google Classroom. So there's
so maybe
in Google Classroom. So they're starting to bridge that gap.
Dude, that's pretty cool. I'm curious now. I don't use Google Classroom. We use Schoology instead, but tools like that make me more interested in Google Classroom. I'm curious if you can then publish those in Google Classroom. You also have flashcards. You can download these as a CSV. There's not really a good way to share them that I found, but they're kind of good. But let's get to the better ones. So it does a mind map. I didn't do this at that time, but this it can do let's see which one. It can create a slideshow. Now I don't think you can actually edit this, but I went through it and it would be a great slideshow.
Hey, real quick, Desmond, I want to just pause you real quick.
Yeah.
Go back to your previous view. So how did it get this content? I'm going to assume it's from your upload that you fed it,
Yeah,
right?
so I
Did you
uploaded
already talk about that?
yeah, at the beginning. So I uploaded the
Okay,
PDF.
sorry.
No, you're good. I think
I'm
you're
tuning in
clarifying.
better here. I'm folks. I must have been
The
googling.
audience needed that too. So I
Okay.
uploaded the PDF. You can upload
Yep.
like 100 PDFs. I don't know, 20, a bunch of PDFs. I never get close. You can also add sources from websites, your Google Drive, just searching.
And
Um,
there's a link up above, which I think is newer. Try so it's there's like a deep research button there where see the little
oh
hyperlink
yeah.
just above. So it'll search for additional references for you to
I
then
haven't even
add to
used
the.
that. That's
Yeah,
cool.
I thought that was really neat when they added that.
So there, like every time I open it, and which I use it fairly often, I find new stuff like that. So I need
Mm-hmm.
to play with it more.
All right. And I interrupted you. Go back to your
Yeah, so
presentation
here's my
there.
presentation. And so I actually shared this with my students. So we just finished this lesson. We're going to have a quiz on it. And so it looks like he uses a combination of this appears to be a historic image, I think. Um, and then it also uses a combination of graphics which work really well. These are not the exact graphics I have in my textbook, but are accurate graphics. And this is a great one too. So like this picture appears to be AI to me. That one appears to be real, but I'm not certain. This one is funny because there's a graphic similar to that in my textbook, and it looks like it made a AI version of the one that's in the textbook. So, anyways, then it ends with the question, which is actually capture some of the ideas from the chapter. So that was pretty cool. But then what I actually really liked was it generated this, and that is, I'll show you. It is the infographic. It can do infographics, so that's new. And this infographic is both amazing and very AI. it's, kind of- it's very AI, but I mean, I read through the whole thing. It pulls data straight from the textbook and it visualizes it very accurately, even from Carnegie's salary to the industrial workers' salaries and the two different kinds of monopolies. I thought was pretty well illustrated. It does weird things like where was I found some typos like electric light bulb like some of the letters are a little malformed. Yeah, so where were some other spelling mistakes I saw? Most of it's good, but like businesses raise hog HOGE instead of huge some SUME of money. But
That's
it's
hilarious.
so funny because it's
That's a very unexpected mistake.
yeah, so much
You'd
of it is
expect like just an out of place graphic or something, but to
yeah.
have like a basic LLMs are great at that, and it's messing that up.
Well, this is an image
That's hilarious.
generator. So like this is an image
Mhm.
generated. So if I wanted to really refine it, I could actually maybe pull it into a tool I'll show later called Affinity, and I could probably figure out a way to edit it. But yeah, it's besides the weird typos, it's pretty cool. And then the last thing I'm going to show you here is it can generate a video, and this video is really it's like they have podcasts which you've probably seen before, and I'm not sure they're there anymore. But you can pick the style of the video now, which I thought was fun. So I told it to do anime style. I'm going to mute this, even though the voice is good. It kind of maybe I'll find a way to share this in our notes. But it has these voices that carry over, and they're kind of like slides. And I felt like they're very accurate. And the visualizations are fun. So it kind of is a way I show this to my students as like a recap of what we just studied. And I watched it and I didn't see any mistakes factually. It did have like some graphical mistakes that I thought were a little confusing. And I mentioned that to my students, but nothing that would mess them up on a quiz. This one, I don't know what this chart is. These numbers are not a part of the quiz or the textbook that I remember. But maybe they're there. But there's a few graphics that were a little confusing. But overall, a very fun tool and a great way to allow your students to like have a review before you give the quiz.
Cool. And hey, shout out Kent Wallach here. He's a teacher here at Burton Academy, junior high vice principal, and he's been using this like a champ. Okay, so he's been excited to show me his infographics and similar to you, just were sharing the. It's like a narrated slideshow video kind of thing, Really good. It's like, wow, this has come a long way really fast. So again, that use case is your scenario is like an extension for your lesson. You need some material, you need to hey, you have a basic concept or a PDF, but you want to make it a little more engaging or interactive. Wow, what a great tool to do that. And it seems to be very reliable already. So very cool.
And like we talked about in discussion, like the slop would be if I just was like, I'm not going to teach. Here you go. Like, do it on your own. That would be slop. But if I'm like, hey, this stuff's not perfect yet, I'm going to teach you, and maybe I'll use some stuff in my instruction where it's good enough, but mostly like, here's some review. Here's some helpful review. Here's some additional supplementation. If you're not getting it, you can use these tools to help you.
All right, Desmond. Hey, let's crank through a few more scenarios because we're going long already, and I want to get to a couple more of these before we wrap up here. So, we've been really focused so far on more on the teacher prep side, the extension side. What Desmond shared is kind of a crossover thing because you're creating content to share directly. However, there's still a lot of there are a lot of tools out there for teacher interactions with students or teacher led interactions. And so I feel like there's still really two leading products out there. I'll start with the first one. Desmond can do the second one here. But School AI, if you haven't used it for student interactions, it really has a lot to offer. So think of this as your sandbox. It's a sandbox for students to play in that is teacher led. Okay, so here's School AI, and I'm signed in, of course. We have a couple different tools across the top. I'm going to just highlight the tools and then we'll come right back to spaces here because spaces are really those interactive pieces with students. But I can create lesson plans, generate worksheets, generate quizzes. Lots of tools here. I'm not going to go through all of them. IEP goal setting, that's a kind of cool one there. Text translator, that's more and more common now as a tool that's integrated. Vocabulary list generation, jokes. If you watched our lesson planning throwdown, I integrated jokes with ChatGPT, but this has its own standalone product. Lots of really neat tools that just help make the planning side for the teacher more efficient and ultimately, hopefully, higher quality. It's creating your syllabus if you're, teaching middle school, junior high, high school. A lot of times you've got to create your syllabus. And so it helps you with all that, course outlines if you're lower levels. So a lot of great tools, but the space interaction with students is really, really neat. And I would encourage you, if you haven't done any of these with your students, even tried one, I would just give one a shot. Okay, so you can search topically. So historical figure, Desmond, throw something out there as the history teacher.
I
Who comes to mind?
Oh, let's see. Jefferson Davis is one I was talking about with my students
Oh,
recently. We just finished the Civil
that'll
War.
be interesting to see. Okay, so we have some here.
There we go.
Let's go to Jefferson Davis presidency. All right. So these are all interactives that somebody's created. And when the whole idea is here that your students would also join you in this interactive. Okay. So you have different ways to deploy it. If you don't use Google Classroom, then you can just do the join code thing. Once your students join, then you are basically leading them in a navigation of an interaction, oftentimes with a historical figure in this particular case. So the student would come in and dialogue with in this case, with the AI president, Jefferson Davis. And you're basically able to see and navigate all of their queries. So you can see what they're asking, you can see the replies. And in doing so, you're guiding them through this experience of how to interact with AI. So you're curating that experience through the platform, but you're also framing it. So it's very specific to the context of the lesson. And they have all kinds of stuff here you can do. So let's just click on one of these that's kind of promoted. This one has a nice description. So it's honestly a little difficult to share the full experience unless you go ahead and try it out. So that's why I'm encouraging you to try it out to see what exactly it's offering you, because you're not going to see a lot of what it has to offer until you get into the experience itself. But the spaces I think are so neat because that's where you can help the students learn how to responsibly interact with AI. on topic. Okay. So pick your topic. And so they're learning while they're learning to interact responsibly with AI. To me, this is still one of the top go-to products. That's School AI. Desmond, do you want to take us through School?
Yeah, MagicSchool. And the thing I like about both these tools is that it keeps the teacher in the loop, right? So I think we've talked about before, but I am against technology, AI or not, that tries to remove the teacher. And so you can't really see it unless you play with it, but it lets the teacher see the chat on the side, and then it also kind of gives a summary and an emotional like a emoji of how the student's doing. And the idea there is, yes, you can make sure they're on task, but I think also to engage with them and to use that as like a summer or a assessment along the way to check on them. So MagicSchool and School AI, I feel like have so much in common. And so for MagicSchool, we have a bunch of these tools that you can release to your students. And so there are a bunch of student tools. So just like in School AI, you have student tools and you have tools for the teacher. So we'll talk about the student ones first. And there's a whole bunch of them. Image generating, if you have it hooked up to Adobe Express, which is free. And that's nice because you have a platform on which is safer for your students to generate images, because they're going to find image generators out there that aren't safe, and all sorts of generators. And you release these to your students, which is really cool. So you set up, like, I have my seventh grade history or social studies class, and I release that to them, and I can pull it back, and I can give them image generating, and then I can give them idea generating. I can give them like this one right here that I'm working on, the Quiz Me, where in this case I uploaded that same PDF from that same lesson that I just showed you. And I have it give me the students can now use it to quiz themselves, and I can preview what they're going to see. So it generates for them when they launch it, and you can give this to them by giving a link to the actual room in which they'll use this. And so then you can, so they want to know how many questions. I want 5 questions. And then it will generate questions that they can now choose from. And this multiple choice, best more process. Let's see. I'm trying to read it so quick that, it's B. The best process is a technique for blowing air through the molten iron to remove impurities and process the steel more cheaply. So B, and it's going to tell me if I'm right or wrong. That's correct. And then it gives me more information. And then it has this fill in the blank question. And if I write, I don't know, I spelled no wrong. It actually says, then it gives me the correct answer, and then it gives me explanations about what it is.
What I love about this, Desmond, and I think I appreciate that you're actually taking time to show it. I was talking through it, but you're showing it. And I think that's so valuable because you can see something really key here. These are adaptive environments, right? It's not like every kid sees the same thing. One student that knows a lot about a topic can go deeper and it's going to adapt to their prior knowledge. A student that doesn't know, it's going to adapt down. And so in that, it's meeting the kids where they're at, and I think it's really neat to see that live.
Yeah, and it's great to have them like be able to quiz themselves and keep going if they're like, I did them and then I need to do it again, and get repetition and different wording. And so then I can save to my room. I didn't make my room yet, so I'll do U.S. history.
And by the way, while Desmond's doing that, I don't think that well, for me, MagicSchool so far has been the clear tool if I was picking between these two. Okay. Now, there's probably nuance to School AI that maybe you prefer. Great. But just watching Desmond go through this, I'm thinking, yeah, these are all the reasons that I prefer MagicSchool. It's the ability to create that custom app experience almost where you're, like you're saying, pushing out, pulling back. It's giving them a set of tools to use on the fly. and then taking it right back.
Well, there
And
is a lot of overlap between the two, and I have used MagicSchool more than SchoolAI. But like for the teacher tools, a lot of them are very similar. So I had it generate an activity, and quite frankly, this is where we get the slop thing. I read through the activity, and I got halfway through it, and I'm like, hold on, I don't even know what this activity is about. And it wasn't really until I got to the examples down lower that I figured out what the activity was, and so then I was able to. So then if I was to use this activity, I would go back and I would I would reword it so it would make more sense to my students. And maybe I could ask more clarification, but they, like the historic figure chat, I don't think that's in MagicSchool at all. And I think that's a really cool tool, a really cool idea, at least, to be able to chat with historic figures.
These are going to be quick because we're like super out of time at this point, but I'm just going to also remind you, if you enjoy the content, what do we want them to do, Desmond? Please take a minute and subscribe. We'd love for you to get these updates as soon as we publish new episodes, and don't forget to set your reminders, because that's how you get tuned in. And don't forget, there's great content coming your way every 2 weeks. All right, so we're going to talk very, very briefly about this next one. This is vibe coding. We have a whole episode on this, so we're not going to spend a long time on it. However, we thought this couldn't be an episode we do without at least mentioning it. So as we're headed over to Canva, which, as you guys know, is our preferred vibe coding platform, if you watched the previous episode on this, just want to take you through how to access the coding, the vibe coding. So again, now from the sidebar, you can get straight to Canva AI, or from home, you'll get the same dialog box that's in the top right. And then you're just going to click on code right here. And I'm just going to pull up a prior vibe coding we did here on the episode. I think this is the one we actually did live. At least one of these was. And so this was an attempt at creating a visualizer for quadratic equations and what it looks like when you adjust the coefficient A or B or C, and what it does to the graph of the equation. You can see the dynamic changing of the equation in the coordinate plane. And I honestly can't help but wonder, how can it be so good with very few prompts? This is literally my first version on that one. It created this beautiful interaction that's highly accurate. I mean, it's exactly what I was looking for. And it can't make a basic coordinate plane on a PDF. Okay, I'm like, how is it so good at this and so bad at the other? I don't know. But listen, vibe coding is so powerful because of your ability to share these interactions with the students in a very quick way, simply by publishing. And it creates a dynamic website, which you can then also embed into presentations. So you can either share the link directly with students or embed it in a presentation and share the presentation. So that's all. We're going to recommend you go back and watch our episode on this, because we got into some cool stuff with our vibe coding episode. You want to go check that out for some of our ideas.
That episode was a lot of fun. And as well, like when you check it out, make sure you go to our website, edtechunpacked.com, and then click on Vibe Ed Apps, where we shared our favorites that we've made. And RJ, who was a previous guest, she made one. It's up on there. And it's funny because I try not to get into it too much because I really get lost. I can lose time vibe coding. It's fun. But I've shared it I have some fun more games on there. I shared it with my 8-year-old son. And so the other day he was on his iPad playing one of the games, or actually I think it was RJ's like zombie graphing thing. And he was kind of confused on what was happening, but he was playing with it. And my students, I have the passage memorizer. I regularly see them using that in class to prepare and study. And so I think there's some useful tools on there. So I got our last one. This is a little more of a pro one, but I'm so excited about this. So some of you might either have an Adobe subscription or envy someone who does have an Adobe subscription. Aaron, you've got one, right?
I do, and they're super cheap for education.
They're super cheap for education. You got to get verified and everything. So that's probably worth featuring and doing an episode on. But I don't have an Adobe subscription. And so years ago, I got turned on to an app called Affinity. And a couple years ago, your favorite company, Canva, bought Affinity. And I was kind of worried when they bought them because, and a lot of people were like, they admitted in their announcement video that people were worried. Like the announcement for the new product I'm about to share, people were worried when they bought them because everyone was worried they would charge people now to use Affinity even more subscription. It is a paid app, but you just pay one time and you have it. They came out with a second version, and I bought that one as well. And I really loved their apps. So, anyways, last week or week before, a couple weeks ago, they just released a new version, which is incredible, and it's free for everyone. So Canva, thank you. It's a beautiful gift. It has a vector editor. So if this doesn't make sense to you, you can download it and play with it. It's free. So it is something you install. They have a vector, so that's like vector graphics. They have pixels, which is more photography, and they have a layout and for like publishing. And the cool thing is you can switch between all the tools. And then they have a last one on here, and this is the only part they charge for is the AI integrations. However, if you have a free Canva education account, you get this part for free. So you could do image generating in here, and you can do generative fill, like you've probably seen in Photoshop. And there's a bunch of AI features. And one of them I'm going to try and generate right now is I was thinking of a fun thing to generate. And so I have make an image for a 5th grade class group named the Mighty Red Pandas. And so I was thinking this would be a fun way when you have class groups and you have them come up with their own names, quickly generate them a team logo. It's like they have a mascot and they can use that. And then you can go and you can edit it as well. So I'll show you, I was trying it earlier. I couldn't get it to work real well, I'll be honest. They have, image generator failed. I'm going to try one more time. If it doesn't work, I'll show you one I generated earlier. But they have an AI editor where you can just chat with it and say, hey, I do this, do that. And I was having a lot of fails, I'll be honest. And so maybe that's still being refined. But I think the idea is if you don't know how to use the editor, you just tell it to do it. All right, that didn't work. Okay, so we're going to go back to the one I did earlier. I did the axolotls. Same idea. But this is a new image. And isn't this fun that the class groups...
This was generated on this platform.
It was. Okay. This was generated for like a class group. And I thought it was fun. Now, if I was going to use this more than just a class, there's a few things I would edit that are like tell signs of AI. And the cool thing is, and I think I already did it on here. Yeah, so let me undo. Maybe I can't undo because I already closed it. But it has a tool that can turn graphics into a vector. So something you add, like I generated a picture in Gemini the other day, and I wanted to edit it, and so I turned it into a vector. Now, the cool thing with a vector is each of these shapes are like mathematic properties. So I can change the color of this. They're layered. It turns it into layers, so I can edit it. Like I would probably spend time getting rid of this weird yellow stuff in the background. I don't know what it is, or turn it into something that makes more sense. And you can change all these points on it, make it look better than that. But it allows you to edit it if you would like, or just use it as is. But I love this because it is both approachable and you can go quite advanced with it as well.
Desmond, didn't you tell me if you bring an image in here, you can convert a non-vector to a vector image?
Yes. Yeah. So I generated it in Gemini and then I vectorized it and was able to edit it. So it's a pretty cool tool.
Great tool. It's a great power tool. I agree with you. That's not probably everyday use for teachers out there, but hey, I'm honestly looking at that, thinking of the students too, right? It's a free product. And if they have their free Canva for Education account, they can do all of the things we just saw here for free as well. So have them make their own team images, right? I mean, teachers don't have to do it for them. So a lot of fun.
It doesn't run on Chromebooks, of course. Their older stuff is now for free on iPads, but it doesn't have the AI stuff. And so you can get the older stuff on school iPads for free. I think this runs on Windows and Mac. But yeah, it's a great tool.
Well, Desmond, we've covered a lot today. That was 7, if you weren't counting, 7 different scenarios that we covered where Definitely not exhaustive. Okay. And I have one actually tag on about ChatGPT for teachers, Desmond. I forgot to mention it. Super important. It's according to their website, it's FERPA compliant. Okay, so huge there. If you sign up for the teacher version that's free till 2027 in the summer, it's FERPA compliant. So that's really, really important for teachers and schools out there. You don't have to wonder if I put a name in or something like that, is it going to feed the machine and now it's out there forever? They built it in a way where it doesn't do that. And so that's really, really neat. But we covered 7 scenarios we think would be helpful to you. And we hope you found something in there that will truly support your journey as a teacher, and maybe save you a little bit of time exploring all the platforms available.
All right. And now that we're wrapping up, if you haven't subscribed, what are you doing? Come on. We want you here more often. We love hanging out with you. Please join us. Subscribe on your favorite platform. We are on YouTube. We are on what was it? Spotify, my favorite podcast platform, which is Pocket Cast, and we're on Apple Podcasts, and we should be on every platform. If you don't find us on the platform that you want us to be on, please email us. You can find our info at edtechunpacked.com. Go to our website, find all our subscriptions, and please follow us on all the socials, blueskyx.com, Instagram, Facebook, and probably something else eventually.
And as we're wrapping up here, we just want to remind you, we get it. We know this can be stressful. You might have watched this episode today and just been completely overwhelmed. But honestly, we're here doing it for you because of that. We want to make this less stressful. We want to help you kind of catch a vision of how these different technology tools, today it was AI, tomorrow it'll be something different, can actually be a blessing to you as a teacher and only enhance your abilities and really support the reason you're here doing what you're doing, and that's to be a blessing to your students. So don't be discouraged. Be encouraged. You're part of a group of people. We're here to help support you, and God has great plans for you in the classroom as you continue to minister to your students. And we just want to remind you, as we always do, it's not just about the tools and technology you use, but how you foster meaningful relationships with your students to transform their lives. Until next time.